Little steps to a bigger world. Welcome to Tippy Toes Nook.
Hickory Dickory Dock Family by Tippy Toes Nook. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1. The mouse ran down. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Baby ran up the clock. The clock struck 2. The baby said, boo. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Brother ran up the clock. The clock struck 3. Brother said, look at me. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Sister ran up the clock. The clock struck 4. Sister jumped to the floor. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Father ran up the clock. The clock struck 5. Father gave himself a high 5. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Mother ran up the clock. The clock struck 6. Mother takes a sip. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Grandfather ran up the clock. The clock struck 7. Grandfather grew a giant lemon. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Grandmother ran up the clock. The clock struck 8. Grandmother bakes a cake. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Uncle ran up the clock. The clock struck 9. Uncle smells like pine. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Auntie ran up the clock. The clock struck 10. Auntie was zen. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Cousin ran up the clock. The clock struck 11. Gaming is his obsession. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 12. Family, he yelled. Hickory Dickory Dock. Chuck and Fuzz Toilet Mayhem by Bridget Lulier for Tippy Toes Nook. This is Fuzz, and he's a happy little chicken pooping in his nappy. This is Chuck, and he is not happy with Fuzz's stinky nappy. Chuck takes Fuzz to the toilet. This is where you... Fuzz, it's not a bird bath. Chuck reaches for the toilet paper. Now, we use toilet paper to clean our... It's not a blanket. Do not make a bed out of the toilet paper. Chuck shows Fuzz the basin. Now it is time to wash your... Huh? How thirsty can you possibly be? Chuck decides to go back to the drawing board. Now, maybe I've tried to show you how to use the toilet too soon, and I've heard that maybe you'll know when you know. The feelings start in your tummy area. Look here, Fuzz. Here is a picture of a toilet. Now, every time you feel you need to poop or wee, just bring this picture to me or point to it. Chuck sticks the toilet picture onto the whiteboard. Now, all Chuck can do is wait. It's not too long before Fuzz approaches Chuck. Fuzz hands Chuck something. Is this the toilet picture? Asks Chuck excitedly. Fuzz smiles. Wait, did you draw poop or ice cream? Hold on, it's got rainbow sprinkles on it. You want to eat some ice cream? Fuzz nods enthusiastically. Chuck and Fuzz both enjoy a big bowl of chocolate ice cream with sprinkles on it together. Fuzz eats an extraordinary amount of ice cream and his stomach begins to make funny noises. Whirl, growl, bloop, bloop. Chuck grabs Fuzz. It's go time, Fuzz. Off to the toilet they run. Fuzz waits on the toilet, just like Chuck taught him. They wait and... tinkle, plop! Chuck and Fuzz high five. Well done, Fuzz, you did it. I'm so proud of you, whispers Chuck. Fuzz has fallen asleep. Humpty Dumpty and his food friends, adapted by Tippy Toes Nook. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. Carol the apple sat on a wall. Carol the apple had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men said, "Oh no! Has this really happened again? We never actually put Humpty back together. Is it possible this time that we can do much better?" Carol the apple was all bruised and confused. So the king's men returned with things they could use. A bit of this and a bit of that, a ring-a-ding-ding and a big chef's hat. The king's men let out a relieving sigh. 3 cheers for Carol the apple. She's now an apple pie. Terry the blueberry sat on a wall. Terry the blueberry had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men said, "Oh no! Has this really happened again? We turned Carol the apple into an apple pie." "Team, we can fix this." "Terry, please don't cry." Terry the blueberry lay in a puddle of blue juice, so the king's men returned with things they could use. A bit of this and a bit of that, a ring-a-ding-ding and a big chef's hat. The king's men cheered. "Together we can fix anything. Yes, we can. Terry the blueberry is a lovely jam." Me, the chickpea, sat on a wall. Me, the chickpea, had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men said, "Oh no! Has this really happened again? We turned Terry the blueberry into a lovely jam." Me asked, "Can you fix me?" The king's men replied, "Of course we can." Me was hopeful. She had nothing to lose, so the king's men returned with things they could use. A bit of this and a bit of that, a ring-a-ding-ding and a big chef's hat. The king's men cheered. 3 cheers for me, the chickpea. We did what we could, and we kept our promise. Me, the chickpea, is now a yummy hummus. Ricardo the avocado sat on a wall. Ricardo the avocado had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men said, "Oh no, has this really happened again? We turned me, the chickpea, into a lovely hummus." Ricardo cried, "Can you help me? Be honest." The king's men said, "Of course we can. It's just a little bruise." So the king's men returned with things they could use. A bit of this and a bit of that, a ring-a-ding-ding and a big chef's hat. The king's men cheered. We've done it again! Woohoo! Holy moly! The avocado is now guacamole. But what about Humpty? I'm still in pieces, he begged. 3 cheers for Humpty. He's now a Scotch egg. Fox and Scarecrow Go on Staycation by J.C. Reyes and Tippy Toes Nook. One sunny morning, little Fox popped out of the crops. Her eyes as bright as bluebells, her fur so full of sun-drops. Hello, my friend the Scarecrow. Here's an exciting proposition. Would you like to join me on a fun and merry mission? How about a trip with me to where the river bends? Then maybe we can share a picnic and maybe make some friends? I'm sorry, Fox, he sighed and slumped. I cannot go with you. My place is here to mind the crops and give the birds a shoe. I wish I could, he added. I wish to see new places and savor lots of little joys and maybe meet new faces. The handy fox took a pause and then she zipped away. Baffled and bewildered, Scarecrow asked for Fox to stay. Moments later, Fox came back with her trusty bag of tricks. Then Fox pulled out some cotton string and 4 whittled sticks. I'll tie this here, she said, and here I'll do the same. And next thing you know, voila! Fox made a magic frame. She bounded up to Scarecrow and asked him to look through. Now we can go on travels, yep, together, me and you. Oh, look here, squint your eyes. That's Farmer Joe driving by. And over here you can see Mrs. Farmer made a pie. Ah, looky here, Scarecrow, by the barn, over by the big tree. Can you see the pups at mouse school learning their ABC? Wonderful, Fox, this is brilliant. Where else can we go? Then she zipped his view to the right. Look, that's a raccoon disco. And over there is a banquet, and there a fun pillow fight, and over there are the possum twins learning to fly a kite. Hours passed, they travelled far from the gate to the station. Scarecrow winked at Fox with love. What an awesome staycation. Thank you, clever Fox, he said, for bringing the world to me. This has been the bestest day. I'm glad you made me see that even though I could not go to all those far off places, if I look up and take a breath, I'm surrounded by lovely faces. All this time I only saw a field of golden stalks of corn. You have made me see so much more, and now my heart is warm. Hickory Dickory Dock. Feelings, adapted by Tippy Toes Nook. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1. The mouse ran down. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Ella ran up the clock. The clock struck 2. Ella said, boo-hoo. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Max ran up the clock. The clock struck 3. Boing! Max said, who, me? Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Flynn ran up the clock. The clock struck 4, and Flynn said, more, more! Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. Ari ran up the clock. The clock struck 5. Ari took a dive. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory dickory dock. Ivy ran up the clock. The clock struck 6. Poor Ivy felt sick. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock. Kevin ran up the clock. The clock struck 7. Ah! Daddy said, "Deep breath, Kevin." Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock. Billy ran up the clock. The clock struck 8. Billy felt great. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock. Mia ran up the clock. The clock struck 9. Mia said, "I'll be fine." Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 10. The kids said, "Let's do it again!" Woohoo! Hickory dickory dock. Montgomery's Flea by Bridget Lillier and J.C. Reyes. Montgomery was a Westie who had a very nasty streak. He took pride in his behaviour. He was rude to those he'd meet. Bark, bark, bark. But Monty didn't realise that he had a little pet. Nasty Montgomery was the owner of a flea named Margaret. Bark, bark, bark. Now Margaret would copy everything Monty would do. If he was mean, she was keen and would put it into practice too. When Montgomery was mean to the butcher, Margaret copied that too. Bark, bark, bark. She bothered all her siblings and made them all boo-hoo. Bark, bark, bark. Montgomery didn't wait his turn at the supermarket. Margaret pushed in front of her siblings and her mother screamed, "Hey, Margaret!" When Montgomery snatched his parcel from the lady at the post, Margaret snatched food from her brother. Margaret's bad attitude was the most. One day, Montgomery stole the newspaper from his lovely little neighbour. Margaret stole from her sister a toy her mum had made her. And then one day, Montgomery bumped into his long-lost brother. They had had a fight many years ago and no longer spoke to one another. But to Monty's surprise, his brother needed help. Montgomery said, "I'm sorry," and then he began to yelp. Montgomery was sorry for the nastiness he had embodied. Margaret was confused and questioned why she had copied. Margaret had an idea and bounded down Monty's back to the tip of his tail where her family had bailed to have a break from her attack. "I'm sorry, fam. I've been a rotten flea. But today I saw an act of kindness. I am inspired and you deserve a plea. Do you all forgive my lack of niceness?" Suddenly, her family all stood up and danced and jumped for joy. They all had waited patiently for Margaret's presence to enjoy. Montgomery and his brother very soon became besties. They strutted down the street, being kind and thoughtful Westies. As for Margaret, she has taken a turn for the better in everyone's opinion. She's kind to her family and no longer a nasty little minion. The end. Hickory Dickory Dock. Halloween by Tippy Toes Nook. Hickory Dickory Dock. The mouse ran up the clock. The clock struck 1, the mouse ran down. Hickory Dickory Dock. Hickory Dickory Dock. the ghost ran up the clock. The clock struck 2, the ghost said, "Boo! Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the pumpkin ran up the clock. The clock struck 3, the pumpkin laughed, hee hee hee. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the werewolf ran up the clock. The clock struck 4, the werewolf knocked on your door.
Oh?
Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the skeleton ran up the clock. The clock struck 5, the skeleton tapped and jived, hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the wizard ran up the clock. The clock struck 6, the wizard banged his stick. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the mummy ran up the clock. The clock struck 7, the mummy turned 4,511. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the zombie ran up the clock. The clock struck 8, the zombie cried, "Brand!" Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the witch ran up the clock. The clock struck 9, the witch boiled slime. Hickory dickory dock. Hickory dickory dock, the vampire ran up the clock. The clock struck 10, the vampire said, "Let's scare them again." Hickory dickory dock.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.